Welcome back everybody, Matt the Man here, hope you're doing well. This week was the 25th anniversary of Bicentennial Man. It came out in 1999. 1999 was a great year for movies. You know, I've always been saying that throughout this year. So many great movies came out that year, it's unbelievable. That's why when it was going into Y2K, and I thought, well, and this is the end. We had a great year in movies. Can't complain. And this is one of my favorites. This is directed by Chris Columbus, who also did Miss Doubtfire with Robin Williams. He's also the guy who did the first two Home Alone movies. And then after this movie, he went on to do the first two Harry Potter movies. So, I have always been a big fan of this movie. I saw it in December of '99. I still remember seeing it in the theater at United Artists when that was at North Point Mall. And then I also remember when the movie finally came out that summer of 2000, my family was in Florida for our summer vacation, and one day it was raining outside. So instead of going to the beach and enjoying the day, we went over to their video store to rent a video. Yes, we had to physically go out and go in a car. Well, this one was right across the street, so you actually didn't have to walk or get in a car. But go in and pick out a movie and pay to rent it. A lot of people don't know that concept anymore. And we rented Bicentennial Man, and we watched it that afternoon. I remember thinking when I was younger, this movie felt so long. It is over a 2-hour movie, but it felt a lot longer when you're little than now, like going back and watching it just the other night. It flew by. That's what happens when you get older. Time flies. Which is actually even a theme of this movie, coincidentally enough. I always enjoyed the movie. It had Robin Williams, Sam Neill, Oliver Platt, Wendy Crewson, and I forget the main female character who plays the adult Little Miss, and then went on to play Portia, the granddaughter of Little Miss. But I'll get to her in a minute. This movie is a great sense of humor. There's a lot of adult humor in this movie. You can tell they let Robin Williams just go. I'm sure you can tell just watching the movie that there was a lot of stuff that wasn't in the script that Robin Williams came up with on the fly while filming. And everybody has a great sense of humor. Sam Neill, who plays the father of this family, who buys an android. This time, the only thing I knew about Sam Neill was Jurassic Park. Going to see him play this character was something very different from Jurassic Park. Wendy Crewson plays the mom, who a lot of people know from the Santa Claus. Charlie's mom. Scott Calvin's ex-wife. She's in here. Oliver Platt plays the scientist who creates the robots and stuff like that. He had a great year in '99 between this and Lake Placid. They're supposed to say go. The Crocodile Hunter. And I liked him. And then lately you got the Little Miss character. Oh, by the way, I don't know how many of you were just like me, who only found this out a couple of years ago, but the little girl in Bicentennial Man, who we watched a lot in the '90s, in this movie, in that movie Polly, and then in a couple of commercials she did. Now, only a couple of years ago, I found out that the actress who plays Little Miss, the younger version, is the sister of none other than Jesse Eisenberg. Yes, the guy from The Social Network, who played Mark Zuckerberg, the guy from Zombieland, the guy who played Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman. I had no idea he had a sister, and I had no idea that she had a brother until only a couple years ago. Who knew? Going back and watching this movie, in the very beginning of the movie, when the android is delivered to the house, the older sister says, the little miss says, what is it? And the older sister says, it's an android. And the little miss thought she said Andrew. That's how he got the name Andrew Martin. But here's the thing. The older sister says, yeah, so-and-so has one, and Kate McAllister has one also. Kate McAllister. Kate McAllister. Kate McAllister. Remember that last name. Why? Because little Matt here just told you the director, Chris Columbus, is the same director that directed the first two Home Alone movies. And what was their last name? McAllister. Kevin McAllister. Oh, mind blown. So Home Alone is in the same universe as Bicentennial Man. Tell me that's not a coincidence. What I also like about this movie is actually, as much as there's a lot of humor in it and stuff like that, but it's a very sentimental, very a movie that deals with a lot of interesting concepts, questions, but all of that, but tackles like themes of life and death, living and dying, people moving on from you in life, and you, the person that's still alive, having to reconcile and deal with that, while also this robot wanting to become more human and live like a normal human being, where society still sees you as a robot. Doesn't matter if you start to look like a human with the skin, doesn't matter if you get the ability of human organs like a lung or a heart, or you get the ability for physical touch. Here, Portia, poke me in the eye. What? Poke me in the eye. Ow! Oh my God. I can feel. It's a miracle. I can see again. Firmly. With those ideas and concepts of, just wanting to be real, And I'll admit, I've also kind of gone down that road in my own life. Throughout college, I did some things that looked more normal. And still at the end of the day, you start to realize it doesn't matter. You can do this, you can do that, you can get rid of that, you can go to the gym 8 million times, you can bulk up, you can do this. But at the end of the day, people are only going to see one thing. At the end of the day, you're still a robot, like in the movie. Doesn't matter if you look normal like a human being, you still will always be considered a robot. So I thought that was an interesting, especially now being older and being able to think about that, like, wow, ooh. And then here's another, and the score, the music in this movie is great. It actually reminds me of a little bit of A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe and Jennifer Connelly. But then there are also musical notes that remind me of Braveheart. I know, out of all the movies, A Beautiful Mind and Braveheart. What? But yeah, go back and watch this movie. The score for this movie is brilliant. I love it. Very soft, sentimental. I like that this movie has a lot of humor, which I like. A lot of adult humor too. I mean, Robin Williams is awesome in this movie. This is why I miss the guy so much. He can be serious in moments, and very sentimental and serious, but then he can be outright hilarious at the same time. The weird thing about this movie that I've never told anybody, the scene where Little Miss is getting married, and she's walking down, she just got married, she said I do, and now they're walking back up the aisle, and Andrew is standing there, because now he got some facial expression as a robot, and he's smiling, and he had that great musical score, walloping, getting higher and higher. And I am not joking, for some reason, when my sister got married, out of all the movies that popped into my head when my sister was walking down the aisle, out of all the movies, not Wedding Crashers, not The Wedding Planner, not, anything that has to deal with a wedding. None of those came, American Wedding, none of those came into my head. The one movie that came into my head out of every movie out there was this movie. For some reason, when my sister was walking, maybe because when we were little, we would sometimes call my sister Little Miss. Like when she was behaving. It was Horatio and Little Miss. And I said Horatio at her wedding, Little Horatio. And then because of this movie came out around that time, where she was only about maybe 5 or 6 or 7 years old at the time, sometimes we would call her Little Miss. Because she was, at the time, she was the only girl in the family before we got our dog, 3 years after this movie came out. So every once in a while we'd be like, Little Miss, where is she? Little Miss? I don't know. She's awfully quiet. She's obviously getting into trouble. So then the scene in the movie when Little Miss is walking back up the aisle, for some reason, like I said, well, my sister was walking down the aisle, that whole scene popped into my head, and the music from that moment came right into my head. I was like, oh boy. Alright. And it almost felt normal. It's like this movie's all about growing up, getting married, moving on, and dealing with people dying and stuff like that. And it's just a very, even though it's PG, it's more of an adult film than you realize. Also in this movie, you got Bradley Whitford as Little Miss's son grown up. This was the time that Bradley Whitford was known as the asshole movie character, whether it was Billy Madison or now this movie. I love the scene where they're sitting down and he's trying to get Bradley Whitford to help him out, and Little Miss is sitting there, and Andrew Martin turns. Now I know why he got divorced. Did he breastfeed when he was a baby? I mean, it was stuff like that. And then like I said, you got Little Miss all grown up. This actress, I forget her name, she has a very interesting name, but she has the most difficult role in the movie, because in the second act of the movie, she's playing the adult Little Miss. And then in the other half of the movie, she's playing the granddaughter, Portia, but she looks exactly like Little Miss, that skipped a generation and now looks like her, which just happened in real life. And now she's playing a completely different person, but still in the same body and look of Little Miss. And she does a really great job to convey that, I thought. Also, you got there's also the same actress who just a couple years prior to this was in Matilda as the teacher, Miss Honey. And it was just funny, I mean, that movie had Mara Wilson in it, and I'm going to get to why this is funny. And the director of Bicentennial Man did Miss Doubtfire, and Miss Doubtfire had Robin Williams and Mara Wilson as his daughter in that movie. See? I always find a way to connect movies together. In this movie, I think it's very funny. It's also always funny to go back and watch these types of movies that deal with futuristic sci-fi elements and wonder, are we there yet? Now that we're in 2024? And yeah, you got certain things in here that, yeah, we can do artificial organs. We have cars that you open up the door and it goes, up like that. Up like that instead of the normal way. Or, we do have robots now doing stuff. So, it's not as crazy anymore when you go back and watch the movie and go, yeah, some of that sci-fi stuff is actually, we have that now. That's the other element. But let me know in the comments below, are you a fan of Bicentennial Man? I think this is an underrated movie. It's one I enjoy going back and watching every couple of years. So let me know in the comments below. Matt the Mad here. Hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment.